It's been a while, but I'm back, and just a reminder, if you haven't got one yet, these stickers are still available. Thank you so much to everyone whose names are here, who has ordered them. I really appreciate you guys making me make bad decisions, well, bad but good decisions, spending money on this car. So there they are. Go get them, please. Thanks. On with the video. Well, check out all this wasted time and money. This is an old ignition system that the car originally used. It's all going away. It's all old technology, and I had some problems with it. And got an upgrade from Panic Wire. This is a Link Monsoon X ECU, the new one, and patch harness to plug into the original loom, and OBD2 port, as well as the harness for the coil on plug setup. So I'm going to be running Yaris coils, which are 1NZFE or 1ZZFE, whichever ones I decide on going with. Here's the factory ECU for the blacktop 20 valve and the Monsoon X. So a lot more technology packed into a much smaller space. All right, got my coils all ready to go. I got everything plugged in on the inside in mock-up mode. USB to connect to the laptop. This is a fuel pressure sub harness I'll probably use in the future. Everything's all plugged into here, which will end up tucking close to the inside here, and with the plate they supply. OBD2 scanner, and what else? I think that's it. Here are the connectors on top of the engine for the coils. I'm excited. So I just got to make that plate now, just to secure them all nicely, and then ground this eyelet here. Should be all good. Very, very simple install. That took like 5 minutes. And I still got to figure out if it uses the factory map sensor or just plugs right into the ECU. So I got to work that one out also. All right, so in order to fit these coils inside the cylinder, the spark plug tubes of the cylinder head, you need to sand down these two little ribs right here. I'm not sure. Maybe this is just for fitment inside of the different engine. But anyways, it needs to be sanded down completely. This one I just confirmed fits inside of the cylinder head. So that one's all done, and these ones need to go. All I'm doing is just using a file and then sanding it with 400, and then that's pretty much good. These don't need to be perfect or exact or anything. All you need to do is just make these flat. So there they are side by side, and it's just ever so slightly too big on these little ribs right here. So anyways, I'll show you what the problem is. Oof, it's close. Okay, so as you can see, this one is sanded down. Fits very nicely in there, almost airtight. Flat up against the cylinder head. And then this one, these don't fit inside the cylinder head. So there's the problem. It's hitting right on this one, and then if this one wasn't there, this one would also be the problem. So they need to get sanded down. So I'm gonna do the rest of them right now. So I need to wire a new resistor to my tach, which I think is those two nearest to me. And I have a picture of it, but anyways, this is so the tach reads a new signal because the igniter is deleted. So the igniter is what usually sends tach signal to the cluster. So I'm gonna do that real quick. But just warming her up now, and should be ready soon. Brand new tip on it, and melt the solder on here, wire in the new resistor. Should be all good. Okay, so I got my cluster out, and now I'm just taking out the original tach motor. So there it is. Putting in the new one. Very delicately. Okay, cool. And now I'm going to screw it in from the opposite side. But that's done. And also, somehow this blue plate fell out for the brights, so I'm going to replace that also before I put the face back on. So this looks kind of like that, but I don't know how that came out. And every time you have the brights on, it's just the same color as the halogen bulbs, so it's pretty annoying. But hopefully my tack works now. Before I put everything back together, I'm going to test it as soon as I get an unlock code for the ECU. Boom! Very sick soldering job. Yeah, yikes. There's nothing better than the sound of rain on a metal roof. So it's been about a week since I recorded anything, but I forgot to show a few things on video. So I got all that stuff installed here. So the engine bay is pretty complete, just missing the cam cover here, which I'd like to have. And this has been sitting for about a week or so. It has a nice little oil leak coming from, I believe, these cam seals, which I should have replaced. So that's pretty unfortunate. I'll have to get done later, which is no big deal though. It's very easy to replace. So my super awesome solution to mounting these coil packs, I sacrificed a 24mm wrench from, I think it was Harbor Freight. Just had it laying around, and I never ever use a 24mm for anything, so went ahead and just drilled some holes in it and tapped some threads in there. Now all my coil packs are mounted, and that was absolutely free. Took a little bit of while. Took a long time to figure out what I wanted to do with that. Eventually I might clean it up, but it's really low on the priority list because it is working. So I mounted the patch harness and ECU up here a tiny bit. So the ECU is here, patch harness kind of comes down to where the original plugs are for the ECU. So that all fits like factory. Got to zip tie up these a tiny little bit, but that's no big deal because in here I just have the wideband because I don't need to be looking at it all the time. And ooh, it's kind of dirty in here. I don't need to be looking at the wideband all the time. And I kind of ran out of spots, which looks sort of OEM for the gauges to be. So I might figure out something later, perhaps relocate the cigarette lighter and put the wideband here. But, you know, that doesn't really matter too much for me right now. So there it is. I've just been kind of keeping the glove box open and looking at this while I'm driving. You can sort of see it pretty easily from the driver's seat. And monitoring the FRs while I'm street tuning it. And another thing I did was change the shift knob. This is a teardrop from Drift Motion. I don't know, it's pretty generic shift knob, but I had this on my 1JZ swap a long time ago, and I finally remembered where I got it from. So I like it. This is much better feeling. It's not weighted, and over time this will become a more polished looking black. This is just a Delrin M12 by 1.25, but stock shifter. I love it. So in here is pretty complete now. Alright, haven't started the car in about a week. Should be no dramas. I'm just gonna go pick some stuff up, and while I'm doing that, got the laptop and gonna tune it. So I fixed some idle issues and just, you know, basic changes in the ECU setup. Now all I'm basically doing is monitoring the AFRs and highlighting anything here on the fuel table that I don't like, that's a little bit too rich or too lean, and fixing it on the street. That way I have the best sort of setup, and I can do it myself just based on what I like. So all that's pretty simple. It's it's just a little bit distracting looking at the AFRs a lot, and all I have left to do is on the freeway. It's sitting at about 13.5 to 13.7, so that should be around 5 to 10, 15% throttle area, above 3,500 RPM. Just gonna take some more out there and it should be all good. There's some interesting gaps here I have to fix, so it's 16%, 23%, so there's kind of a jump here. So I'm gonna have to monitor that a little bit, see what happens. Driving the 86 now, doing some street tuning, working on the enrichment and the fuel maps and stuff, and delivering everyone's stickers. So thanks a lot everyone who ordered them. You guys are amazing, and they're going out right now. I think these are pretty good settings for my idle speed. I was having a bit of problems with it dying off when I was in neutral, or like doing clutch in after driving, like going up to a red light, it would sometimes die. So I just changed the dashpot decay time to 0 seconds and then the dashpot hold time to 1.5. The decay time was 2 seconds and the hold time was 3 seconds before. I also changed the offset percentage by 2.5%. and it seems to be working good now. I'm gonna go drive it and see exactly what happens now with those changes. I also changed the idle speed to 1100 because I think 800 was a little bit too low, and this is a smoother idle at 1100, so nothing too crazy, just sort of fine-tuning things how I like it. This is kind of just a base map that was loaded on here before. So yeah, I'm like playing with these settings. One of the many positives of having a aftermarket ECU. So that should be a lot better now. I'm gonna go drive it and see what happens. Also, I'm doing this in the parking lot of the post office where I just dropped off those stickers. So thank you again. Well, I'm on the same road I spun a rod bearing on, which is not something I expected to do so early, but kind of ironically, I'm experiencing some high oil temps. It was getting to about 240, 245 degrees, which is something I definitely don't want to deal with. So I might have to install the oil cooler, which I probably should have in the first place. It's just a little weird being that this engine never came with one, and I don't know, it seems like a pretty high oil temp to me, but everything else is going good. So I'm gonna turn back around before anything bad happens. Probably take care of that, but not a bad view. Tuning's going good so far. Nothing really surprising, or just dialing out the issues and making it run good. Buddy. So this is roughly the size of the oil cooler I'm planning on using. It is 7.5 by 11, which is a pretty reasonable size. This is a stock 9-row oil cooler, which I thought about using. You can see the size difference there. Thought about using this one, but this is what I just took out of it. I don't know if you could see all the debris in there. This is brake clean. I thought about trying to clean out this factory oil cooler and just saving some money and using that, and use the original mounts. Wow, this thing is not focusing at all. There, you could kind of see it now. Dirt and debris in there, and what's left of my bearing shell. Yeah, anyways, it's pretty much junk. It's a lot bigger than the factory one, but the cool part about a thermostatic plate, that means you won't overcool your oil, which is, you know, pretty much not as bad, but equally damaging to bearings if your oil just never gets up to operating temperature. So, yeah. Oh well. I got some parts ordering to do and some more waiting to do. Yeah, so my oil on the freeway is just cruising. It's getting up to like 250 degrees Fahrenheit, which is weird, which is over 120 Celsius, which is normal operating temperature, I would imagine. This gives me time to, might as well order those cam seals now and just solve this problem, because it's already leaking on the floor. So you can see there. Yeah, anyway. I think it's coming from the seal. I don't know if you can see that. They are unchanged. I didn't see any residue, but, you know, maybe they took the cover off and pressure washed it and put the cover back on. Also, I'm going to loosen this serpentine belt. I think it's slightly too tight. Put a list here of stuff I'm going to do. Loosen serp belt, oil cooler, cam seals, and valve cover gasket. Also, I need to buy a 26 millimeter deep socket and decide, you know, what I'm going to do for this sandwich plate down here. I think I might just double stack them, and every time I have to take the filter off, I just have to remove the headers just a little bit to get that filter on and off, which is not a big deal. I was doing that before. And I need to get that cam cover. I think I have a lead on one, but I really don't like running open gears. Yeah, so a little bit of street tuning and sound check for this video. And I don't want to make the full rip until I know everything's going to be A-okay as far as temperatures go and engine safety. So that'll have to be for the next couple weeks. Yeah, this one was really all over the place. This video was shot over like 3 weeks to a month. But that's where it is now. It runs and drives. Just getting down to the nitty-gritty stuff. I should title this video, Things I Should Have Done Before I Finished the Swap. But they're getting done right now. As you can see, I am doing the cam seals because there is a river of oil leaking, especially from this one, but this one was starting to go as well. The valve cover is removed as well, doing the valve cover gasket while I'm in there. It wasn't leaking, but since I have it off, might as well. And I'm doing all 4 spark plug tube seals. This is a fan wiring kit. Obviously 2 relays for 2 fans. And I have to pin them with this connector here, as well as these 2 pins. So these 2 pins are for the power for each fan respectively, and then the ground can just go wherever. And we're going to be reusing a factory plug, which is not needed anymore due to the lack of the factory ECU. So these 2 go into the factory pin also. So the reason they're not terminated into a plug right now is just because the plug is pretty hard to find. So I don't mind doing it myself. And obviously this goes on the battery post. So all this is very, very nice. And this is what we need to plug into. Those are the 2 power wires. And then this goes in there with those 2 pins for 1 and 2 fans. Yeah, I like this. So yeah, as you can see, you can tell what I mean. Things I should have done when I was in process of doing the conversion. But I'm doing it now, so it's fine. Another thing I wanted to show you was my borderline plastic cam seals. As you can see, I chipped a part of the material away. It's just so brittle and old. I would hope that these are factory ones, because that would mean my engine is, you know, fairly low mileage. But yeah, they're branded as originals. Yeah, anyways, those are pretty bad. Then this is the one for the VVTi gear. And all the parts for that are down here. By the way, this gear is no longer manufactured. and a replacement is like $800. So, and obviously it's filled with oil. That's how it actuates the VVTi, so leaves a big mess underneath, which is as expected. So, I'm gonna be tearing out my amazing fan wiring, which is gonna be very satisfying because these two just go to a sort of fuse I added right here, which is probably way more than is rated for these fans. It's just a 40 amp that I terminated these two wires into, which are both the power wires for each fan. Anyways, I'm gonna be doing that, tearing all that shit out. Very satisfying. This is how to have a damn good morning. Working on doing my cam seals now, and look at how clean this engine is. I don't think I've ever had an imported engine this clean before. New genuine seals about to be installed. Everything is cleaned up, so I'm gonna throw them in right now. All right, both cam caps are on, and RTV is on all the edges, even the back. So valve cover gasket time. By the way, the torque spec for the cam cap bolts is 10 foot-pounds and 12 Newton meters. It's part number for the valve cover gasket. All right, new ones are punched in. They're exactly 30 millimeters, so looks good. Just gonna oil these a little bit and throw it back on the car before the RTV dries. All right, time to put my coil bracket back on the engine. Got the cam gears on, timing belt on, and manual tensioner set. This goes here, like that. And then this one, 10 millimeter, goes into a threaded hole in the valve cover. Kind of, yep, there it is. Perfect. Looks OEM to me. Well, with the engine swap done, I think it's well overdue for a wash. The last time I washed this was before the 16 valve failed. That should give you a pretty good idea of how long it's been. Another reason why I chose this color is because it hides dirt pretty well, except for back here. As you can see, obviously, it's super dirty. That's mostly due to me driving the car around with the base map and tuning it, because it was very rich, so a lot of carb is on the back. But yeah, well overdue. So I'm gonna get to that now. Well, it's all clean, but it's just starting to rain, so it looks so much better. I just have to find a place that powder coats wheels, because I'd love to get these powder coated. This is all just stained into the metal. I can't get it off with a brush or anything, so. But yeah, super clean. Might have to change these stickers to 20 valve, but I like the originality of those a bit better, even though it's wrong. Yeah, been a long time since I've seen it clean. I changed some settings in the Link ECU, although it's not going to be a real cold start right now. I was messing with the enrichment settings for startup at 0%, and I changed these as well. These used to be a little bit higher, so now it idles around 1200, back down to 1100 when it warms up instead of 2000. It's pretty annoying when it revs that high, just like all factory ECUs do for most Toyotas, at least in the 90s. So much more tolerable now. It would be at about 2000. and we're sitting at about 1150-ish, which is the exact target I want to be at. As you can see, here is what it's mapping right now. It's labeled in green, and as the engine warms up, this will go over here. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so that's about 13.7, a little bit rich, but that's still warming up, so it's fine. I love tuning it how I want it, and it just makes it a lot more drivable, a lot more personalized. So back in the garage it goes. Next video, I'm going to be driving it and continue to street tune it. So look forward to that. This video is going to be all over the place, so my apologies for that, but hey, I'll just upload it anyway and give you some pure driving sounds next video. So yeah, later.